Master Grade Gundam Age 2 Double Bullet. Hey, what's up again, everybody? It's Robert184, 2Rs2Bs, GundamReviews.net, and you've already seen the unbox and the parts here for the Master Grade Age-2 Double Bullet. Don't forget to read the manual as carefully as you can. Don't follow the X's blindly because you'll be missing out on some cool features. So check out my parts part, but now let's see how this MS is going to be looking when he's all put together with a bullet. Not yet. It's unofficial. And when he's put together by the book here, I've got to say my first impressions of this guy, besides the stability, though that's a pretty bad impression so far, but for looks, is pretty good. I'm a big fan down there. The red feet look good, the red cuffs look good, and of course, the twin dots there on the shoulders are looking fantastic. All those gray color wraps there are paying off MG style as you get to see little pieces protruding of that inner frame. Same thing down on the legs. And it's sort of interesting because I still remember my first impression upon seeing the first quick image that came out online was that this guy's exactly the same as the normal, except they swapped off the blades or the binders and they just put on the guns. But instead, this guy's going to have a very different feel thanks to the blockiness of the lower legs, which are really going to be standing out. And when you combine that with the sort of blocky feel for the upper shoulders, this guy is definitely looking colorful, cool, and deadly. With a close-up here on the upper body, you'll notice that there's circle parts there on the shoulder mounts. Those can also be swapped off for those other, more fitting for the double bullet pieces. But I jumped ahead in my impressions because this guy is not going to be feeling particularly secure. The legs feel really bad with that knee bend in there, and the chest section as well. All of these moving pieces, blue parts falling off in just the first few moments. Definitely not a good way to start things off. But what can you do in terms of posability? Well, independent front moving skirts means that the legs can come all the way forward for a kick there. With the arm out of the way, you can get the side skirts up and out, and you can go for full splits, so that's impressive. The leg is going to be bending down there. Remember, you've got this extra piece, which is going to be a little bit funky and usable for landing gear as well. You'll notice, though, that you're going to get this back part of the leg wants to split off. Also, my calf muscles here, these ones, I didn't push them down all the way, just to sort of show them off every once in a while, if you can make out those little red tips down there. Otherwise, the legs are looking good, though the ankles, again, just click out occasionally when they bump into the plastic in the wrong way. The upper body is going to move well as it rotates there. It'll go side to side and actually stay in place. You can bring it forward and back, and there's a tab on the back to bring out even more. The shoulders, they lock into place down there, and you can pop them out, so you can bring the arms back and out. Rotate this around as you please. You can also swing them up and down a fair bit there, if you don't mind the odd piece, like the whole actual arm falling off. Which, when intact, is going to be moving up 90, 180 there, no problem at all. If you wanted to reach across here, you could cheat and go above the chest, and you could touch the other arm. But if you go across, well, it's not going to have any such luck. But of course, it's going to be these twin dots that's going to be of the most importance, I think. You'll notice that even with this white piece on, it can rotate 180 degrees with a little bit of clicking as it gets there. And you can take this, remember that these parts are removable, but you can rotate this all around, you can rotate the gun around, and you have a pretty decent range of motion. You should be able to set up some pretty dynamic looking poses. So for comparison now, well, I'm glad I don't have to choose a winner here because I gotta say I'm a huge fan of both of these designs. Despite some of my early reluctance for the double bullets, seeing it here side by side with the normal is fantastic. First of all, in terms of height, of course with the twin dots, this guy's gonna get the edge there. However, in terms of width, if you're going to be doing any sort of angle at all with these binders, it looks like the normal is going to take the cake there. Definitely a blue 00 feel over on the right, whereas you're going to have a much more traditional Gundam looking scheme on the left. It's very cool to see just the difference that just adding those little color swaps there could have been. I think having the chest and the waist exactly the same doesn't really hurt that overall red effect. The twin dots are going to be adding in all the pieces of extra color that you need. And how cool is this, considering at the very beginning, after 3 Age 1s, we all wondered where was Asem's third kit? Well, I suppose Kyo was wondering where his father was for the beginning of his life, before Dad became a space accountant and came back in a black version, BA version here of the Age-2 normal, going into the Dark Hound. In terms of comparison, you can see the height is this Dick Tracy flat top cut is going to make the Dark Hound just look a little bit shorter. you can see that he's going to have a lot more similarities with the normal in terms of the shoulders. Basically, just the binders and weapons are going to be different, in addition to that massively crazy different head sculpt there. But having these three together is an absolute treat, and don't forget that after worries about having three, that this guy also has a fourth cannon version. This one is going to be a premium online exclusive, and it's going to look great next to these three. For posing, well, you've got the twin dogs, and you twist them in different directions and set up some sort of cool pose with that. One thing to be aware of, though, is that the one on the left side has already drooped down thanks to Earth's unassailable gravitational force. And I think you'll notice that there's going to be a lot of variations on a theme here. However, that's not necessarily a knock against this guy, because it is, let's face it, a pretty cool theme. And though it may not be readily apparent here, what I've done is I've taken the twin dots and just popped them down, and that means even though there's going to be a little bit more of a hollow space there, you are going to get some more length out of the gun, so even if they're in a back sort of whooshing backwards direction or coming forward, it looks like he's got even more, well, large size firepower here. And if you want to get the dots in hand there, you're going to have no problem doing that, as it's got a good custom attachment there. The trigger finger is going to be out, and it's got a slit there that'll fit neatly in the front. But you can sort of differentiate between the two cannons there, and the binders by themselves, even when empty, don't look bad. And having both guns in hand doesn't look bad, and again, that's just part of these things looking really good empty, and you've still got lots of movement possibilities there with the double ball joints on each. Not bad overall. But if you want to take the double bullet to the next level here, it's going to be a little bit annoying, yes, popping off those red parts to get the gray parts out, to get those large beam effect parts in place there. But with the dots in hand and these pink parts, this guy is all of a sudden got a huge wingspan, and it just sort of makes you weep even more that we don't have an MGV2 for a while. And though I'm worried about weight issues with these in place, so far none have materialized. It's actually strange. With the dots in there, I had one problem. However, the overall big complaint about this guy is just those legs do not really want to cooperate due to the transformation mechanism. However, when you've got him in the right pose and he's got those extra pink parts on there, impressive. And here is Asemu Asuno doing what he does best. Two beam sabers, and why not throw on the two large ones? It is a massive step up from borrowing a couple HG beam sabers and putting them in the twin dots there for the high grade. Just having the extra parts there, no weight issues, and the beam sabers in hand, they're going to be looking good even if you use the trigger finger hand there. It's the kind of thing, elevated or not, whether you've got the big blades forward or back, everything that you do with this guy seems to look cool, menacing, and impressive. Really, besides some chest pieces falling off and the legs being a bit wonky, I don't know if there is an ugly pose when you just go all beams. So tons of fun with this guy when he's all put together, whether you're going to be using the rifles, in place, out of place, the big sabers. Everything about this guy just comes across as being fun, and don't forget that there's even more bonuses in store on top of a transformation. Anyway, stick around to see that, and as always, let me know what you think of this MS with a comment down below. Thanks for watching, everybody. See ya. And though he's not canon with some free time, I'd love to add a fifth one to this MG collection.